What does family conflict mean? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education. And in this video, we're going to be talking about family conflict. In this video, we're going to talk about family conflict, what that really means. Let's get a clear definition of that. And then we're going to talk about healthy disagreements versus destructive patterns of communication that lead to more family conflict, and how you can choose those healthy patterns instead. What does family conflict look like? I think many people can identify family conflict when it looks like shouting, anger, physical actions, like maybe being abusive, those types of things. That's really obvious family conflict. If you're at a family party and people start yelling with each other, then it feels dramatic. But there's other family conflict that still feels dramatic and isolating, and it's not healthy for your family, but it's not necessarily loud or aggressive. Sometimes it's passive aggressive. Sometimes it's a person just not talking to somebody else, someone not listening to another person or giving them any type of regard in their relationship. It can look like quiet tension or sassy, rude remarks, or just avoiding a person completely. All of those things are signs of family conflict. So what does family conflict even mean? The word conflict means opposing forces colliding together. So when they strike against each other, that's the point of conflict. So basically, if you're having family conflict, then that means that within the family, there's opposing forces that are colliding with each other and striking against each other. So this can happen with actual fists, but most of the times it happens with our words or our lack of words. This is two forces trying to control the other person by pushing against them in some way or controlling outside influences so that the other person doesn't get the engagement that they are looking for in order to have a healthy relationship. So by contrast, what does it mean to have a healthy relationship? Well, relationship actually means regard, revere, even reverencing another person. So that means that you would listen to them, look forward to being with them, open up to them. You would be completely honest. You would help each other along, support each other. You would have a healthy amount of respect for the role of that other person. So this brings me to one thing that really does create a lot of family conflict, and that is a misunderstanding or lack of teaching about what proper roles actually need to exist within a family in order to keep it healthy. I've written 11 books, as well as doing podcasting and all of this stuff to try to help families have better relationships. My main book is this one, Parenting a House United. But when I wrote this book, I actually thought that people understood family roles. I thought that culturally we still had that. Maybe it's because I was raised with parents who taught me about family roles. My grandparents definitely understood that. It seemed like all my neighbors did. But what I didn't understand is that at many places in the world, and even in the state and city where I live, there are lots of people who do not understand their roles. So I ended up writing this book here called Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. Understanding who you are to other people makes a huge difference in how you interact with them. If I know that as a parent, one of my roles is I'm a teacher, then that means that in order to respect my children, I need to teach them. But they need to understand that one of their roles is that they are a learner. And that if they are going to respect themselves and respect me, they've got to do the learning. If that gets frustrated, if the teachers won't teach or the learners won't learn, we end up with dysfunction. And our society is embracing more and more dysfunction and selfish behaviors all the time. And it's that selfishness, only thinking of yourself and what you get instead of who you are and what you are supposed to give because of who you are, that's actually creating a lot of problems in our culture. So there are destructive patterns of communication that actually hurt our relationships and damage our roles. These destructive patterns are actually rooted in selfishness, so keep that in mind. When a person starts thinking just of themselves and trying to control everything around them in order to feel good or to get what they want, then everyone starts feeling misused, controlled, manipulated. There's a detachment that just naturally occurs, and now we can't solve our problems or even sometimes share some of those basic parts of our daily living that we should be able to share with each other as a family. Now, whether you are still living at home with your family or whether your family has all grown up and you just get together periodically, family conflict can happen. So if everybody understands good communication skills, then when people have disagreements or differing opinions, so no matter whether your children are older or whether they're younger, the same good skills for self-government communication can help everyone have better problem solving. I have to share a little story with you. Years ago, I was asked by the Catholic Church to go to Kenya. So I'm not Catholic, but it was a great honor to go and teach in Kenya for the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops. And I spoke to head priests and nuns and people who are teaching and nurturing families, parents, children in the country of Kenya, and I trained them how to teach the things that I teach to their families. They were having problems with having war and contention in their families and in their culture at large. And the Catholic Church recognized at that time that if they could fix the relationships in the home, that would change what was happening culturally. So smart. So smart. I wish every country, every religion would recognize that if what happens in the home is going well, it will spill out and you will have less social problems and governmental problems. So anyway, when I came to teach, one of the women who took the training was a teacher and had her own children. She took the training. She was a little skeptical of it, but said she was going to go ahead and try. And when I say skeptical, I think she was skeptical because I was from the United States of America. And she told me at the beginning of the training, like, I'm not sure anything good comes from America. True. By the end of the training, she said, I thought nothing good could come from America. I'm really excited to do this. And so then she went and did it. A few years later, I came back for a checkup with the teachers who I had taught that time when I did the training. She stood up in front of a whole crowded room of people and she said, teaching self-government has stopped the war. The war in her classroom, the war with her children. She said, we used to have war. Now we understand how to communicate and we don't have war anymore. This touched my heart so deeply because so many people are at war in their homes, in their neighborhoods, in their places of work, in the schools. There's too much war, and it shouldn't surprise us when our whole world is starting to have wars pop up everywhere. We're warring in our own families. How can we keep war from coming to our shores? We can't. So there are 4 basic skills of self-government. They're just adult skills. They're for children and for parents. Everyone should use them. It doesn't even matter if you have children or not. They are skills that help you succeed in your relationships and help you learn to communicate and problem solve better. These 4 children's books, which are part of the Teaching Self-Government Children's Book set, each teach one of those 4 basic skills to children, probably ages like 12 and under for these books. But I'd like to just focus on one of the books right now. This book here, Page Takes the Stage, teaches the skill disagreeing appropriately. Disagreeing appropriately is the gateway skill to self-government. It is the one that helps people get invested and decide they want to learn the other 3 skills, which are how to follow instructions, how to accept no answers and criticism, and how to accept consequences. So to take full responsibility for themselves, their actions, their thoughts, and behaviors. So this skill here, disagreeing appropriately, helps a person be understood, but be able to stay calm and connective still all at the same time. Let's talk about the steps to this skill. When a person disagrees appropriately, they can look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say that they understand the other person's point of view, share their point of view, listen to what they have to say okay, and then drop the subject. Let me just show you what it might sound like. Hey Mom, can I disagree appropriately about not having dessert after dinner? The mom says, sure. And then the child says, Mom, I understand that you don't want me to have any dessert after dinner because this isn't our day that we normally have dessert, but I actually saved my dessert from my lunch. I didn't eat it before, and I'd like to eat it now if that's okay so that I can bring something new in my lunch tomorrow. Oh, well now Mom has new information. This child sought to understand their parent's point of view. They explained their point of view. The parent can then listen to what they have to say. They can say yes or no. The child will now say okay to whatever the decision is and drop the subject. So how does this work with adults who don't agree? What about husband and wife, or maybe adult siblings? What would it look like there? You still can go through the same process. You might even say, hey, I need to disagree with you, or I need to disagree appropriately with you about something. Is that okay? Maybe just kind of get their attention that that's what you're going to do so that they're ready to listen and be respectful because you said you're going to do it appropriately. But if you don't want to start it like that, that's okay too. You can just say, I understand that you want to have a barbecue for our family party because you really love barbecue food and it's actually a little bit easier to prepare. But it seems like we always have barbecues as a family. Can we do something a little bit different this time? Maybe something that's still easy like a taco bar, but just have a different thing on the menu. Wow, now you're going to listen to what the other person has to say. They might say, sure, I want to, or no, I don't. No matter what, you got to be ready to not take it personally. Probably what you did just there was open up a conversation about what food you want to have at the family party, and now you'll have a little bit more time to discuss it before you can come together on a solution. But if ultimately you can't come together on a solution and everybody wants barbecue and you don't have any way to change their mind, then guess what? Just say okay and drop the subject. Now you accept the no answer, which is another one of those 4 basic skills of self-government. So there are so many more things to learn about self-government, communication skills that can change the way you interact with your family. If one person starts interacting differently, bringing a different tone and some different skills into the group, the other people won't know how to engage with that same conflict that they had before. It just won't feel right, and they'll start mirroring some of the other behaviors that they're seeing that other person have. So working on your calmness, learning the skills that you need, all vital things. There is a whole teaching self-government course that can help you, your children, your extended family members all decrease family conflict. So go to teachingselfgovernment.com, go to the shop tab and look for the TSG parenting course today. I'll see you there.